I never thought this day would come, but I'm actually going to sit and say for one time, I agree partially with what Jagmeet Singh has been saying all along. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Yes, you heard that right in the intro. Now, I'm not a fan of the NDP, or the SPENDP, as I call them. I've never been a fan of the NDP party because I find a lot of their policies to be completely woke and broken. I don't find that they have any merits that anytime you hear NDP pushing their beliefs or their proposals for how they're going to run things if the day ever comes where they're in charge. Again, coming from Alberta, we've seen what an NDP government looks like, but their ideas are always far fetched and they're always unattainable. They're fun to think about, but at the end of the day, they don't make financial sense. Now, the leader of the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, has been making claims throughout the last year that the problem that we're seeing isn't a carbon tax, that it's not overinflation created by the government printing money, that it also comes from greedy CEOs of grocery stores and different organizations that are capitalizing on supply and demand problems and the cost of paying their staff. Now, this is where I stood back for ages and said, oh, Jagmeet Singh is completely off base. He doesn't know what he's talking about. There is no emergency when it comes to greedy CEOs. And again, I've looked at the paperwork when it came to companies like Loblaws. Like, yes, they make a significant amount of money, but by the time they pay their overhead, their carbon taxes, their taxes, the cost of their products, the overhead that they make in terms of profit after paying employees, expenses, operating costs, they still make a couple $1,000,000 a year for the Westons, but it's not what people think it is in the grand scheme of things as a nationwide grocery store outlet. However, it seems that my assumptions, or at least concluded assumptions based on paperwork, have come to pass as different outlets and different retail outlets are starting to show me, at least in person, that in fact things have changed and that greedy CEOs may just be what part of the problem is when it comes to people's day-to-day lifestyles. Now, I will say before we get into things that this is, of course, based, a lot of what I'm about to talk about is based on choice. The price surges that we're seeing right now, or the proposed surges, certainly aren't things that you must absorb, that you must deal with in order to get on with your life. There are ways around things, and I'll get into that. But of course, this is just a matter of showing where that corporate greed is coming from. Now, last week, a story came out about Wendy's, good old fast food chain Wendy's. It says they've gulped back surge pricing idea as complaints expose limited tolerance for floating costs. Now, what happened last week was that Wendy's had floated the idea that they were going to increase the price of their products during peak hours, meaning that that if you go to a drive-through around the regular times that people eat dinner, say 5 p.m., well, your meal is going to cost extra because you're there at a busy time of evening, and it's a way to kind of deter people from flooding the drive-through so that they don't have to pay as many staff, so that they don't have to worry about Uber Eats and DoorDash showing up and being bogged down with orders. It's kind of like a deterrent, or at least that's what they say when it comes to how stores behave. Now, I bring this up because, again, people showed pushback on Wendy's, and of course, Wendy's all of a sudden says, "Oh, hey, we don't want to walk that forward if it's going to upset people." Of course not, because it's going to destroy their business. And that's the problem here. And this is where things need to change from the consumer aspect of things. Last week, my kids had an appointment. It was one of those evenings where my wife was getting home from work. We had to do something quick, so we decided, hey, let's order a pizza. And I went to pick up a pizza. And when we picked up our meal, because it's kind of done at this pizza place in like a combo, you get drinks and stuff with your pizzas. But they give us a cloth-like bag, like you see at Walmart or any of those outlets that use those reusable bags that they charge you for. And I made a joke to the vendor saying that, well, they got you too, because in Calgary we have what's called a single-use bag bylaw. Now, if you don't know what that is, well, that's coming to cities, and we have covered that on the channel, where woke failed Mayor Jody Gondek has implemented a 15-cent bag charge on everyone who goes through a drive-through, who goes to a restaurant, who needs any form of a bag. So if you go to McDonald's and order a combo, they'll ask if you want to pay 15 cents to have a bag to put your burger and fries in as you take it home from the drive-through, which is completely absurd. Now, I had about a 5-minute conversation with the man who ran this pizza place, because he completely exploded when I made the sarcastic joke and said, I pay for these bags and I don't charge my customers even though I'm supposed to. He said, the problem is people are already paying a premium because of the carbon tax. They're paying a premium for things like DoorDash and Uber Eats. It's almost double the price sometimes by the time you get these guys to come pick up the food and have it delivered to your home. He says nobody hires and uses delivery drivers anymore. They use these services. So he says, when it comes to the bags, I know I'm supposed to charge people, but I pay for them out of pocket because people's blood pressure is high enough with the cost of doing business. I don't need to raise it any further. And I told him I got respect for that. I respect that he wants to do those things. He talked to me about a lot of other gripes he has in the system as well, about these drivers that don't put it in a bag. They don't keep it warm. They're not doing their job because it's based on tipping. If you don't tip them outright at the beginning of your order, then they'll take their time bringing you your food. And that could be a whole plethora of conversation. The point is the price, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what I seen over the weekend, as I went into Walmart, which I found is the last bastion for saving on groceries in terms of deals or rollbacks. My wife and I often go weekly to get our groceries. We happened to be out last weekend and the snow was coming down. We got a bit of a snowstorm in Calgary, and she said to me, why don't we stop and get some groceries? Why don't we pick them up tonight and we don't have to go out tomorrow or fight our way through the snow? And I said, sounds like a good idea. So the reusable crates that we take for groceries weren't in our vehicle. So I said, hey, I'll pay the 35 cents. Walmart charges for their cloth bags. We'll only need 2 or 3 of them, so it's $1. And I'll pay for that inconvenience for the fact that we're doing this on a whim. We go into the store, we get our groceries, and it turns out now, again, I don't know if this is just Calgary or because of the Calgary bylaw, but I get to the till, and now all of a sudden I said, do you have any of those 35-cent cloth bags handy that I can get a couple of those? And the lady kind of smiled and giggled and said, oh no, they're $1. And I said, no, I don't want the large plasticky reusable ones. I want the cloth ones you guys sell for 35 cents. She said, no, they're $1 now. She says, as of March 1st, those bags have gone up to $1 each. And not only that, they're 3/4 the size of the old bags that were 35 cents. So they're smaller and they cost 3 times the price. Now, this is where I get into the greedy CEOs. This is where there's a huge problem. Customers are now being punished for not bringing in their bags to stores. And I know some people in the comments will say, well, you should be bringing your bags. You should be doing these things. But this is beyond the bag situation. What this shows, when you look at the surge pricing with Wendys, when you look at the cost of McDonald's these days, fast food used to be considered somewhat of a value way of eating 20 years ago. That when you went there, it was a cheap meal. You were eating garbage, and you knew you were eating garbage, but it was inexpensive and fast. Now it's just as much to go to a McDonald's as it is to almost go to a sit-down restaurant, and that is the embarrassing end of things. Now, they talk about a lot of things when it comes to that, such as carbon taxes, inflation, the minimum wage increase. There's many outlets that they put towards the reasoning for the price, but I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's all due to one thing. People are paying it, and that is the problem. That is the big problem, and that's where I said at the beginning of this video, it's not really something you need in your life, but when it comes to stores like Walmart saying, now you can pay a bag for these products, and not only that, but the cost of their food, their groceries, have gone up considerably. And again, they blame the carbon tax. But if you go over to a Dollarama, which is a dollar store evidently owned under Walmart's holdings company, you can get some of the food products that you get at Walmart for less at Dollarama. So this has nothing to do with carbon taxes. It has nothing to do with procurement of goods. This has to do with stores jacking up their prices because people will simply pay them. And of course, everybody needs food, everybody needs to survive. So it's not really something you can vote with your wallet or try to change, because people are already struggling to put food on their tables, feed their children, and pay their bills. But this is an outrage. This is the start of it, and those dollar bags show just how greedy these companies are starting to get, where it's, let's just increase it a little more, a little more, a little more, until people finally snap. Then we know the limits of where we can do things, and it's what makes me question, when Pierre Poilievre gets into office as Prime Minister of Canada, if he axes the tax, are we going to see any kind of reprieve or relief at the grocery store? Now, I, of course, with a family of 3 children, have my methods of saving money. Maybe I'll start doing segments on the channel where I show some of those tricks on how to save a couple bucks, or how I do it in this house. Let me know in the comments if you guys would be interested on something like that. If it's would be a fun little shorts segment or stream segment, something to do once in a while to add to the viewership on this channel. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. But again, it's a different kind of video, and I apologize, folks. We didn't really cover any kind of articles, but I just wanted to express that what I'm seeing, especially around Calgary, since this bag bylaw came in place, is a lot of companies showing that what they're doing is slowly increasing to find people's thresholds, to find their limits. And I don't believe in my heart of hearts that things are going to come down as things progress, or as carbon taxes get cut. Of course, I think they'll have excuses as to why they need to keep it high. So I guess the good question to start asking your conservative MPs are if they are going to put legislation in place to protect us, so that when carbon taxes go down, when taxes are axed, that retail outlets will have an obligation to drastically reduce the prices of their goods and services. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Again, I apologize that this was a different kind of video. This is more of an editorial, but it's something I felt needs to be discussed with people struggling these days. Again, let me know if you guys want to see some segments about how money is saved, at least how I try to do it, how I get sneaky about it, and pinch where you can during these tough times. I find it fascinating, honestly, and I find it a lot of fun to find ways to save these days and get the same, if not better quality when you go out. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure to click your button and your bell for notifications. Join us for our live streams. It's always a great time here when I'm able to sit down with our communities and chat about everything that's going on in the world, back and forth Q&A. I'm sure we'll be talking about this on our next stream. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.